Hello, everybody. Pam Popper here, one of the co-founders of Make Americans Free Again. I'm wearing my Make Americans Free Again shirt, and I wanted to make a new video because I wanted to bring everything up to date that we've been doing at makeamericansfreeagain.com and let you know what's going on and how you can get involved and that sort of thing. And I need to give you a little bit of background. I mean, a lot's happened since we started this organization in July. And the things that we need to do right now are a tiny bit different than they were in July. When we started in July, we were primarily concerned with mandatory vaccines. And we are concerned about that, by the way. But actually, the bigger picture here is medical tyranny. And we have had medical tyranny for a long time, and it's been going the wrong direction. Like every year it gets worse. And here is this is what I mean by medical tyranny. An example would be you must have a vaccination if you're a healthcare worker to work in an institution like a hospital. Another example of medical tyranny, your children must have vaccinations before you can send them to school. Another example of medical tyranny, if you don't give your child a psychiatric drug, you could have children's services call on you and ask you to try to take your children away. This has happened. Or if you don't provide chemotherapy for your child and opt for a different treatment. This idea of parents having medical control over their children is something that should be, sacrosanct. And medical tyranny interferes with that relationship between parent and child. So medical tyranny has been going on for a long time. It's been getting worse and worse. And I actually did a video some time ago on this new law that just passed in Washington, D.C. About emancipating 11-year-olds to have vaccinations on their own without their parents' permission. So why am I telling you all of this? I'm telling you this because what we're witnessing right now with COVID-19 is just the ultimate in medical tyranny. It's just everything I've been talking about for 25 years. It's just on steroids now, but it's the same principle, using medical tyranny to control people in an even bigger way. It's not just about the job that you have at the hospital, and it's not just about enrolling your children in school. They really want to control every aspect of our lives, when we're allowed to leave our homes, who's allowed to open a business, and on and on. You guys know what I'm talking about. So the reason I'm telling you this is that for 25, 30 years, decades, people have been trying to fight medical tyranny. I've been doing it by publicizing it and helping people to make informed decisions about this stuff. But really well-meaning people who've invested a lot of money and time have been trying to do something about this, and they've done everything they can to educate legislators, to go visit legislators in the various states where these mandates have passed or where they're looking at passing them, and talk to them about their point of view, and signed petitions, and showed up to testify, and brought in experts to testify, and all this kinds of, it's gone on and on and on. We've done this for decades, and every year it has continued to get worse and worse. So I think the first thing that we need to collectively say to ourselves is, if what we've been doing doesn't work, then what we're going to have to do is something different than that. And that's what we find. That's why and how we formed Make Americans Free Again, something different, a different approach to this than has been taken in the past. So basically, we have a manifesto of things that we want to do that include addressing medical tyranny. So the first thing is we have to get ourselves set free. That's the lawsuit piece of it. And the second thing is we have to address medical tyranny. We have to make sure that these vaccines aren't mandated and that things don't get any worse, and we start to actually turn the ship around. The third thing that we have to do is rebuild our country. And we really are going to be faced with rebuilding a country that's been devastated by all of this. And this is functionally illiterate children, and businesses that need to be rebuilt, and people who need to be assisted in getting their businesses back in gear, and all that sort of thing. And then the fourth thing, and this is the longer term goal, but I'm kind of excited about it, is that we form a medical system together, and we're talking about this, that works for all of us, because right now our medical system focuses on keeping people sick or making them sicker, not on promoting health. I mean, my insurance doesn't pay for anything I want to do. I don't know about yours, right? So that's the kind of the manifesto, the things that we want to do. So how are we going to do this stuff? I mean, it's a daunting task. Even just funding lawsuits like the type that we're filing right now are huge. What we have to do is we've got to build. This is the part that's consistent with what I said back in July when we started this whole thing. We have got to build an organization of millions, tens of millions of people, 70 to 100 million people who all are invested in overcoming medical tyranny and everything that that means. And it's everything from getting our freedom back through lawsuits to rebuilding a medical system that works for all those things and everything in between. And the way that that's going to happen is everybody has got to start recruiting. Everybody's got to start recruiting. Everybody's got to be involved. And a major shortcoming, and it was never intentional. Sometimes you just have to learn what doesn't work in order to know what to do next. I mean, I remember when somebody asked Thomas Edison, gosh, you've tried 10,000 times to invent a light bulb and it hasn't happened. Aren't you discouraged? He said, no, I found 10,000 things that didn't work. I got to be getting closer to what does work. So I think it's really important that nobody who's watching this says, gosh, that Pam Popper sure is critical. And I'm not being critical, I'm observing, right? So we've learned what doesn't work. And part of what hasn't worked is that organizations typically who have worked on this issue have been comprised of a group of people who work really hard and are very articulate about the issue at the top of the organization, who report downstream to the groups of people what they're doing. And those downstream people sign petitions, they write letters and all that, but I've already said that doesn't really make any difference, okay? So we have to do this differently this time. I'm going to continue, and some of us who are really, we have the time and resources to invest in this in a major sort of way. We're going to do more, I would imagine. I don't mind working 19 hours a day, and I can sleep later when this is over, but I think everybody has to do their part. And doing your part means you have to recruit. The only way we're going to end up amassing the biggest group of people interested in health freedom that's ever been amassed with a common goal is if everybody talks to everybody who talks to everybody. So we started having our 6 o'clock Thursday Make Americans Free Again meetings in Central Ohio. And people have even come to see what we're doing. And we've got a format for the meeting and a list of things to do, but it's really focused on growing our group. And if everybody starts one of these groups, and you can do it in your house with just one other person, all you need is one other person, that's a group. And you get together and you review updates, and we'll send them to you. And here we usually watch a short video that we can discuss and then talk about how to grow and what we should be doing locally to make a difference. And if everybody does that, we grow our database. All those names go into the Make Americans Free Again database. So yes, I'm going to report to you. I do that every week through the newsletter and video clips, everything from education about this COVID issue to what MAFA updates, Make Americans Free Again updates, lawsuit updates, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm holding a conference call every Thursday at noon Eastern time. Anybody can participate one time, and I'll show you how to get started and do this. But one person gets together with another person, and at the end of every meeting, you figure out how are we going to become 4 people next week, and how are we going to become 8 people the next week. And if everybody did that all over the country, if you just do the math, it doesn't take long until we have 70 million people in our database. And here are some of the fun things you can do with 70 million people in your database, okay? Everybody's sideways about companies like Costco. Well, if I send a letter to Costco and say I'm not going to shop there, they don't care. But if 70 million people send a letter to Costco, they do care, all right? If something happens in your state, I don't know if you saw what happened in Denmark. It was remarkable and very inspirational. A group of citizens, big group of citizens in Denmark got together, and the parliament, I think it's what their legislative body is, was going to pass a very unpopular law. I think it was called the pandemic law that included mandatory vaccines. And these people showed up and protested and screamed and hollered and banged on pots and pans for 9 straight days. And they tabled that. They put it aside because it was clear that that's not what the people wanted. Well, we could do that all over the place if we had a way of notifying people, but we don't. Social media is being censored. So we better have our own database and our own way of directly emailing out to people updates and telling them where to show up. I mean, when our governor inflicted a curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., I mean, it doesn't change my life a whole lot, and there's 15 exceptions to it. But the point is that We could end that quickly if we had 1 million people in our database in Ohio and we could organize a downtown protest. In fact, if we had 1 million people in our database in Ohio when this started, this whole thing would have been over with by the end of April. We would have, with 1 million people, you can't just arrest them or whatever, so there's so many things we can do if we get these numbers that I keep talking about. But the only way it's going to happen is not me doing it. I can't get 70 million people. Me and 10 other people working hard on this can't get 70 million people, but you all can. You can get 10, who get 10, who get 10, who can get 10. Start with 2, who get 4, who get 8 and 16 and so forth. You just do the math. If thousands of people get busy and recruit like mad people, we will be able to make some magical things happen. So here's what I want you to do. If you haven't already done it, participate in one of my Thursday noon Eastern conference calls. All you have to do is email pampopper@msn.com, and I will sign you up for the next one or whichever one you want, any Thursday, except if it's a holiday. I'm doing it. And then start a Thursday night group. And if you're going to do it, you'll learn how on the conference call, and then I'll send you the how to do it. And you can help us build. And every single person who you go get makes a difference. All right. If we all do a little bit, none of us have to do very much. And here's another thing too. The lawsuits that we're filing, expensive. In your state, expensive. But think about millions upon millions and millions of people. My gosh, if they each come up with $1, we're in good shape. So everything gets easier with lots of people. And what I'm asking you to do is to help us get lots of people. And then we'll continue to do the things that we're doing here that I think you guys count on, keeping you informed, filing lawsuits, lining up expert witnesses, and some of the strategic things that we're doing here. So that's the mission. You go get people. I need you to do that. You do that, we'll do our part, you do your part. We will report to you and you will report to us. And that partnership is the thing that we need and will actually allow us to get our freedoms back, to take our country back, and to take our lives back, and to make sure that this never, ever happens again. pampopper@msn.com. Get involved and make a difference with us. Thank you.